Well, good morning, Vietnam. Almost. About an hour to go. Um, yeah, I took my nap. I'm here enjoying some of my coronavirus or whatever the hell I got. And I'm gonna dive back in. I promised myself I would continue one last offensive at least. Oh, look, I have a little spider. He's dead. How sweet. Sitting on the trail, he must be VC. Well, NBA, NLF in general. Um, but yeah, and we'll see how this goes. It's possible I might want to continue, but I just highly doubt it. We'll kick her off. It's been a couple of days since I did 21 Moon, and I've been sick, but also like definitely not coming up here. And I come up here and I start looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, I can't face this. I may have let it go too long. It took me longer to start, but can't make the decision yet. I certainly don't feel well enough to do this though, emotionally. Problem is, I have these large forces of U.S. reinforcements I brought in. Not all of these are reinforcements, but this turn I brought in a fair amount of reinforcements as well as there being an offensive in play. And I'm not sure where to disperse those reinforcements to. Maybe they're best off just sitting here as a reserve to see what the NLF does in general. I don't feel terribly confident that I have a lot of NLF forces available for this attack. I don't know why. It just maybe because I've been away for so long. Looks like most of my divisions are on the board, for example, for the VC. But yeah, I'm just not seeing immediately like coming to mind I want to do strategic movement with the US or a road patrol or anything like that. I think that means that I hand the initiative over to the NLF, and wow, what the hell are they going to do with it, obviously they can pass, and then the US will probably pass too, because hey, I'm fine with you declaring an offensive and doing nothing, which means then we throw it back into NLF hands, and they do have to do something. I may have expressed trying to come back and start an offensive was probably the wrong way to do things, but starting slowly. I launched an attack here against this town in Kiangyang, and the VC failed. But they caused some casualties. They got some attack numbers up, but not overall worth the effort that was put in. I'm just, searching for places where I can launch attacks. Again, the U.S. is willing to say, hey, let your offensive fail. I'm good with that. You can build up, pay the 10 points, you can get a build-up turn, And forgot some of my lessons about attacking cities that the U.S. has the capability to reinforce well. I had some artillery, etc. near here, and also a regiment. And I sent an NVA division in there, and wow, at first the numbers were okay. I threw some artillery in. I'm like, well, I can't afford to take this, and they were directly in the space. That's the problem. They couldn't break off because their pursuit modifiers weren't high enough. So I was just like, well, screw it. I threw some more artillery in. Well, that didn't do much. And then I threw the regiment in, and that changed things quite a bit, although it did cause some losses here. But you can see there's an NVA division that's gone. We've used up all of our replacements. We killed the VC that was there. But we're getting the attacks up, NLF pays when it attacks. The question is, how much does it pay? Last time it got away pretty cheaply, I feel. This time, that was a big error, that attack, I would have to say. Of course, these don't count for body bag, but that's okay. Wiping out a bunch of NLF forces is quite good. So after 2 operations, I'm ready to call it for a little bit. I got dinner coming soon. At least I'm getting my hands dirty again, you know. I'm playing a little bit. But I think I'm going to call it in the towel. I don't see much advantage. Was looking at, let me play out one more offensive. That was, and I played 3 games in between where I stopped and starting this new offensive, and then played a couple of, you can see there's a couple of VC actions here. And this offensive is not going well like the last one. U.S. reactions, they have enough forces on the ground. The concentration of the VC and NVA units is not as high. It's just not going to have the kind of impact it had. You might have been able to, at the end of it, be able to make some sort of assessment of, well, we're not going to see another TED, which I think is the case, but here's where we kind of are, and, we've made it through, 1, 2, 3, 4, a third of the game, and the U.S. is still doing okay. And honestly, I think the way things are going, whether I'm playing right or not, I know Jason is going to say, no, I'm playing both sides poorly still. And that's not going to change because I have to run away from the game too much to really internalize some of the decision-making capabilities. I think the U.S. has a chance of making it through to the end of the game and a chance of it not, which is a better result than I've ever seen before. Last time, somewhere around this period, is where I played a full game, but there was a screw up where Saigon fell, and I was already so frustrated with the U.S. I knew that they were really hosed. This time I've ramped up their involvement a little bit more than I thought ever was prudent, being that, I always try to get the best sale that I can on things, and, well, I couldn't get the best sale, but, it's not here, it's somewhere else, but the morale cost, the best sale is if you keep it under 5, you don't ever, if you only use less than 5 commitment each season, you never take a penalty on your morale for that. Well, that obviously wasn't good enough, but my thoughts were, okay, for the first year or 2, I'll ramp up at 15, where you're getting 1 morale for 15, and then at 25, it costs 2 morale for the 25 points. And then it keeps decreasing from there. Well, it turns out the U.S. really does have to ramp up a little faster. And maybe had I ramped up faster than I did, I would have better numbers in terms of the population. The SVN is not in great shape still, but they were in horrible shape the last time, the only time maybe that I played a complete game. And what I was trying to say there was that I could have corrected a mistake that I made and made it so Saigon didn't fall so that I could keep playing, but I was just, so demoralized in terms of the U.S. position. This time, I just can't keep playing. And there are various reasons for that. The main one is the game focuses on little actions, these tiny operations. It's a great way to build up the system. It shows the design the way that, I would like to picture a design. Going for a strategic situation modeled at a very low level so that you don't have these abstractions of what's going on in the battle so much. So the game's essentially based on the operation, but it feels even a slightly lower level than an operational game because of the details that the operations are pursued in. But it handles up to the strategic and political decisions involved in the whole war. And that, is very, very attractive But in the actual play of it, I'm doing these little things rather than concentrating on the strategic overview, which is why probably certainly I enjoyed playing Fire in the Lake more, or Hearts and Minds more, where the emphasis is entirely on the strategic side of things in both cases, so that I could get that good strategic picture. In this game, I'm never really capturing that strategic picture, except maybe when I take the overview and the step away from the whole game. Anyway, what ended up happening was I walked away again after doing these few operations, played a game of 1862. I want to get a game of 1862 on video. And no, it's not a war game, it's a train game. I just don't have the will to keep going, I'm afraid. So, what can we say? Well, I think the things that I was trying to say, that I thought I would be able to say afterwards, I think I've seen enough of this offensive to realize it's not going to be like the Tet Offensive that I had earlier. It's not going to fundamentally shock the U.S. The VC and NVA, they've used up too much of their resources, and too much of the U.S. is in place to get those really good effects. Would it be possible that I drain the U.S. replacement rate? Yeah, maybe. And then things change a little bit. And then the U.S. can't stand and fight. So far, though, I've been picking on the wrong stuff, the South Vietnamese, and U.S. reinforcements have been sufficient to be able to pretty much halt the offensives I have in place. I don't have so many big stacks. Now, I haven't engaged. I have a couple NVA divisions in play. I haven't really engaged, though. I haven't at all engaged those. And then I have another potential one here. Those haven't done a damn thing, but I just don't see them having the shock effect that I had that first time. And I'm not entirely sure that my NLF forces are that much weaker than they were before, but I think the U.S. has ramped up enough that we're seeing a sufficient difference here. And, the net effect then becomes this long, drawn-out attrition war being covered at this operational level. And that's just not working for me. It's not a matter that I still think it's a brilliant design and a really cool game in a lot of ways. It's just, I don't have the willpower to keep going. And when I look at that track, I'm like, well, obviously I'm not going to finish. And then it becomes, okay, how much more am I going to learn by, say, wasting another month trying to fiddle through this one season? Because honestly, I could probably do it in a day or two, but the reality is I just don't have the stomach to stay down here. I'm going to load this one up and come back with my review, although I don't know how much more there is to say than what I just said. I'll just say it longer and more annoyingly, I'm sure.